Yes.
Can you hear us?
Trying to be here quickly.
Can everybody hear us online? Olga, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Yes. Irina, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Welcome to the Fort Vancouver Regional Library District Board of Trustees meeting. I'm now calling this meeting to order. Online, we have Olga and Irina tonight. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented? So move. Second. Any further discussion? And move this to a roll call vote, please.
Pete Coffey,
Aye.
Mary Ann Duncan Cole,
Aye.
Olga Hodges,
Aye.
Christy Morgan,
Aye.
Mary Williams,
Aye.
Irina Kakarina,
Aye.
Megan Dugan. Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. We are going to jump right into the public comments portion of our meeting. You will have 2 minutes to speak. We will take up to 1 hour to hear your comments. Please no clapping or noise between speakers or during. No inappropriate language. Please be respectful of one another. Direct your comments to the board. You'll come up and stand on the xylophone square and then face this way. No playing of recordings or videos. And please say your name when you come up to speak.
First, we have Phil Onston, who will be followed by Randy Schmidt, who will be followed by Gary Wilson.
Should my name be there?
Did you hand in the slip?
There was a desk out front that you sign up at. Okay, then if you gave a slip, then she'll call your name when it's your turn.
Jenny.
You'll be after Gary Wilson.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Cole Onstead and my pronouns are they, them. I'm here to speak in support of Drag Queen Story Hour as a genderqueer member of the library community. I hated to miss last month's meeting, but it took a little longer than I anticipated to wake up from a gender-affirming surgery. Happy Pride. It feels more important than ever to say that. The wave of anti-trans legislation continues to grow. Transgender people are once again banned from serving in our military. Actor Jonathan Joss was murdered in front of his husband. Pride is more than a parade and a month-long block party. It is still centered around the LGBTQIA+ community's fight to live our lives without fear of repercussion. Libraries are now at the forefront of that fight. Pride book displays and rainbow programs educate and celebrate. They show kids and teens and adults that to be queer is to be loved and valued. You've heard from library patrons who grew up in smaller rural communities like Ridgefield. I knew I was queer and the library was a safe place. I was able to read stories about people like me. The books and staff in the library told me that I was not alone. I saw a sign at my local No Kings protest on Saturday that summed it up neatly. It read, "People of quality do not fear equality." Drag Queen Story Hour is a vital program that teaches kids about gender identity in an age-appropriate manner. Parents who do not approve of Drag Queen Story Hour do not have to bring their children to any Drag Queen Story Hour programs. Please allow the staff of FVRLibraries to present Drag Queen Story Hour and have the district live up to the ideals espoused in FVRLibraries' equity statement to the community. Equity statement. Thank you for your service to the community, and once again, happy Pride.
Randy Schmidt.
My name's Randy Schmidt. In 2022, the state of Alabama passed a law protecting minors from surgical and hormonal procedures to treat gender dysphoria. After Alabama passed the law, multiple LGBT activist groups sued Alabama to overturn that law. On May 6, 2025, just last month, the plaintiffs of the case withdrew their legal action against the state of Alabama voluntarily, and the case was dismissed without prejudice by the presiding judge. That means that these entities can no longer bring this lawsuit against the state of Alabama again. But why would these groups voluntarily withdraw their lawsuit? The simple answer is they were forced to share the standards of care and the documents that said that it was the correct standard of care for teens with gender dysphoria. In essence, we saw that the emperor had no clothes. There is no science-based data for the standards of care that they're based on. It was all a lie. How do we know it was a lie? Now that the trial is over, those same groups are suing the state of Alabama to make them destroy the evidence that they provided to the state of Alabama during their trial. They don't want Alabama to show anybody else what they had to produce in court. Basically, what they had to produce is so damning that their position that they no longer want the world to see it. So the idea that our children should be indoctrinated into the trans lifestyle by drag queens and other means is shown to be fraudulent. They admit that it's fraudulent because they actually withdrew their own lawsuit. To protect children that use the libraries this board oversees, I will continue to ask to please pass a policy banning drag queen story hours to stop trans activist groups from attempting to confuse our children with respect to their gender. Thank you very much.
Gary Wilson.
Hi, my name is Gary Wilson. Thank you, library board members, for your service. And again, once again, just please continue to err on the side of caution when it comes to programming for our most vulnerable patrons at the library. That would be the children. Enjoy this beautiful weather.
Michael Jennings.
I visited libraries in several other cities and states. And I was talking with a woman who has used libraries in 5 different states. And we both think this is the best library system, FVRL. It's wonderful. And
Could I have you step over here and face this way so we make sure the microphones are picking you up? Thank
yes,
you.
Okay. Do you want me to repeat that?
Oh, you're good. Just continue.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Sean McGill is an excellent library manager. He's very logical, he's warm and friendly, and he's really good with lots of details. Thanks for listening to my comments.
Thank you for your comments.
Is there anyone online? Okay. All right, thank you all for your comments. I'm now closing this portion of the meeting. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented?
So moved. A second.
Any further discussion? I move this to a vote, please.
Jane Coffey.
Aye.
Mary Ann Duncan Cole.
Aye.
Olga Hodges.
Aye.
Christy Morgan.
Aye.
Mary Williams.
Aye.
Irina Kakarina.
Aye.
Megan Dugan.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. We'll now move on to the report sections, starting with the financial statements with Katrina.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. We are looking at April's financial statements this evening. So on page 16 of 57 of your packet is the statement of cash. So on that statement of cash, you will see that at the end of April, we are at just under 23 million. This is meeting our cash targets. April is always an exciting month for FVRL because we receive our first installment of property taxes, which helps our cash balance. You'll see there our net operating activity through April is just about 8.8 million in the green, and our net operating activity for the year is just about 4.6 million in the green. And then if we look down where we expected to use reserves, you can see that the only reserves we have used are for our technology replacement and upgrades. That's for the Bibliocommons that we are all aware of. Moving on to page 17, we are looking here at the statement of revenue. So again, we love April. We can see that 82% of our property tax revenue for the year came in April. So we are at about 46% of our property tax revenue expected for the year. This is meeting our expectations. Our charges for services are at 48% of the year, so exceeding expectations for that revenue line item. And I'll also point out here that our investment interest continues to exceed our expectations. Overall, our revenues in all the different categories based on timing and other known factors are meeting our expectations through April. Moving on to page 18 of 57, our statement of expenses. Again, overall, our expenses are meeting expectations based on all the things that we know. Our operating expenditures for personnel have been trending about 4% under budget based on the vacancies that we carry. So that's known and expected. Under supplies, our technology line item there is trending a little higher than the budget to actual percent of 33. And again, that's because of our BiblioCommons purchase. Under other charges and services, I'll point out that professional services are a little bit under that 33%, but they're going to trend up as we move forward with our strategic plan and the master facilities planning efforts. Insurance is also under, it's coming in at 0%, but we pay that in June, July timeframe. So that will be changing very quickly. And intergovernmental services as well is not showing the costs that we will pay to be on the ballot for our August ballot. Those are the things that I wanted to highlight there. Any questions on the financial report?
Thank you. Has a lot of good detail and good estimates.
Is there a motion to receive and file the April 25 financial statements as presented?
So moved. Seconded. I second.
Any further discussion? I move this to a vote, please.
Maureen Coffey,
Aye.
Mary Ann Duncan Cole,
Aye.
Lisa Hodges,
Aye.
Christy Morgan,
Aye.
Mary Williams,
Aye.
Irina Kakarina,
Aye.
Megan Dugan.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next up is FVRL organizational report with Jen.
Good evening, trustees. Normally Alicia Gomori is here to give this report, but she's filling in for me tonight at a levy lid lift information session in Skamania County. So thank you to Alicia for doing that. On page 21 of your packet, I want to highlight that at the Cascade Park Community Library, we hosted our third annual Trash On Show with 20 runway designers, models, showing off their creations made entirely of reused and recycled materials. Almost 100 people attended that event, so it's a very popular event. Anybody here go to that event? Just gotta know.
Called again?
Trash On.
Trash on.
Also, Cascade Park, along with the city of Vancouver, hosted a community resource fair with over 150 attendees. On page 22, two patrons from the Washougal Library, or City of Washougal, visited the Goldendale Library with the Passport Program, only to discover that one of the staff knew the mom from being flight attendants in the 1980s. They hadn't seen each other since, nor did they know where each other was living. If it weren't for the Passport Program, they may have never met again. Now, I hope that all of you have begun your passport visits and getting your stamps. And for all of you listening in the audience and online, the Passport Program is celebrating our 75th anniversary. It's an invitation to visit all of our library locations. And while you're there, there's highlights for each community and things to do. You can get stamps from the libraries, and at the end of the year, if you turn it in by the end of the year, you will be put in a drawing for an incredible prize. Still so mysterious, I don't know what it is, but I am certain it will be incredible.
She didn't say the word book.
On page 23, the bookmobile from the Klickitat County visited Centerville School the day after the kindergarten class visited the Goldendale Library. The tour included showing students where the bookmobile lives when it is not out in the community, and the kindergartners were convinced that the bookmobile drivers lived in the bookmobile in the garage. I assure you, they do not.
They do. They do.
On page 24, La Center staff visited over 29 classes at the La Center Elementary School this month for summer reading presentations. Working with school librarians, staff were able to cover most classes during their assigned library hour. The kids are super excited about the great programs and prizes. And summer reading started on the 15th. So did you all sign up for summer reading? Even adults are part of summer reading this year. On page 25, on May 28th, the Ridgefield staff invited members of the Clark Cowlitz Fire Rescue to come to the library. I know this is in Sean's presentation, but just want to highlight 136 people came because they love the firemen, they love meeting their heroes and exploring the fire trucks and ambulances.
And they have good stories.
They have great stories. And the Friends all of the library sponsored an author visit by Susan Tate Ankeny, author of American Fly Girl and the Bombarder and the Girl as a fundraiser. Veterans received free admittance to the event, which was held at the Ridgefield United Methodist Church. Over $500 was raised for the purchase of books relating to World War II. On page 27, Skamania County Reads was held for the 11th year, featuring the book Itch, a Pacific Northwest Trail story by Nick Fowler. Weekly events included a family hike on the Pacific Crest Trail, an art opening, and an exhibit of local scenic photography, culminating in a visit from the author. You can see kids and people hiking in that picture there. And on page 20, I'm going to backtrack, page 28. Staff hosted a special movie matinee of Dogman with popcorn, coloring pages, and copies of the Dogman series for patrons to check out. This was one of the branch's largest crowds for a movie with almost 40 in attendance. Staff also have favorite moments during outreach. We're connecting with the patrons who didn't think the library was for them. Going to Arbor Ridge Assisted Living Facility, residents were able to create or renew library cards, sign up for books by mail program, and bring their tablets and smartphones for staff to help them set up Libby, Friegel, Hoopla, and Canopy. If you don't know all those people, those are all access to our online resources that you can find at FVRL.org with your library card. And this helps the seniors be able to access those services without physically coming into the library.
I don't want to appear dumb, but what is Dogman about? That got.
I haven't read it, but we can look that up for you later and make sure you get a copy, Mary Ann.
Oh, thank you.
On page 30, at the Vancouver Community Library, staff participated in the Small Business Fair at Fourth Plain Community Commons. This was an opportunity for patrons to access over a dozen nonprofit small business providers, all under one roof. Providers were there to connect community members with all stages of business, so very successful. On page 31, Vancouver staff, in partnership with staff from 3 other locations, connected with Latino Leadership Northwest, the Mariposas, and the Vancouver Ballet Folklorico to put on a Dia de los Niños, Dia de los Libros event at the Columbia Room. The young adults held a bilingual story hour with songs and games, and children participated in a Mariposa making craft. Latino Leadership Northwest gave away free bilingual learning workbooks, and FVRL gave out free bilingual and Spanish language children's books. The ballet performed traditional dances from various states in Mexico and Latin America, and children enjoyed Mexican treats. 167 people attended, very successful event. And let's see here. And page 32, staff wrapped up a 4-week reading in action program at the Washougal Library, partnering with the Washougal School District Family Resource Center to bring together 10 families for dinner, a book discussion, and activity period for 4 consecutive weeks. Each week, one book was read aloud by library staff. Then staff led a book discussion with the children and parents. The discussion covered a larger topic using the books as examples, and then families participated in a related activity meant to further engage families together on the topic and encourage hands-on cooperative participation. On page 33, a teen comedy workshop at White Salmon Community Library with physical comedy instructor, comedian, and clown Angel Ocasio was a programming highlight in May. The library invited drama class from the local high school as an opportunity to incorporate lessons into their production of Alice in Wonderland in the spring. There's so much going on. It's hard to pick out the highlights. On page 35, at the Yakult Express Library, Battleground and Yakult staff visited the Yakult Primary School for kindergarten orientation night. The outreach event was very successful and provided library information and a great do-it-yourself book craft to over 100 families. At the Yale Valley Library, this month's Kids Create program on May 19th and 22nd featured STEM activities. The Little Bits activity and brain teaser kits were borrowed from the programming department and were a big hit. And you see a picture there. And then on page 36, Volunteer Services celebrates 14 volunteers who are recipients of the Clark County Youth Achievement Awards in the citizenship category, largely due to their volunteer hours at the library. Congrats to Isaac Dennett, Ellie Galvin, Jacob Lee, and Lithia Rutherford. On page 37, work on the BiblioCommons implementation. That is what's replacing our website and upgrading our discovery layer on our catalog later this year is progressing steadily. Content on online resources, FAQs, and core service pages is populated with an emphasis on accessibility, clarity, and user experience. Staff training modules are being developed to prepare teams for a smooth transition and support the effective platform when it goes live. The library card design competition goes through June 30th, and there's 4 age groups, including an age group for everyone in this room. So I suspect you're all working on that. Our theme is our communities, our stories, our communities. And please, if you haven't already gotten your form to put your drawing in, you can get that online at our website or right here. Sean probably has a whole bunch he can hand to you tonight. So we've been talking for a while about our strategic planning process and our master's facilities process, and we have begun. We have entered the community engagement phase. An advisory committee representing people from throughout the district has formed and consists of a mix of community partners, community and business leaders, education and governmental representatives, friends groups members, staff, and board members. From the board, Mary Williams and Marie Coffey represent the board and that group. Members of the committee come from all corners of the district to provide their local and professional perspective. A community survey has just been launched on our website, and that will help us gather feedback from the community, which will inform these plans. The survey will be open for the community through August 24th. 6 community conversations in addition to the survey have been scheduled around the district, and 1 virtual session scheduled for those who cannot make it in person. The community conversations provide spaces for library patrons and where they can share their thoughts about the library and what it means to them and what it could become. Dates and locations for the community conversations are Tuesday, July 1st, 5 to 7 at the Battleground Community Library. Thursday, July 10th, 4 to 6 at the Goldendale Community Library. Wednesday, July 16th, 5 to 7 at the Cascade Park Community Library. Tuesday, July 22nd, 5 PM, I'm not sure what that means, 5 to 7, I think it means, at the Vancouver Community Library. Monday, July 28th, 4 to 6 at the Stevenson Community Library. Wednesday, July 30th, 12:30 to 1:30. That is the virtual online Zoom session. And Wednesday, July 30th, 5 to 7 at the Ridgefield Community Library right here, July 30th, right here, 5 to 7. So I'm reading those out loud so that people that are online can also hear us. But if you've missed those and you're interested, they are on our website. I think there should be a link from the main page very soon if it's not there already. Is it there already? It's there already. So go to our main page to learn more, and please participate and help us to really figure out what are our priorities in the next 5 years for strategic planning and over the next 10 years for the master's facilities plan. The consultants will be at your meeting in July to give an update, progress update on the plans. Moving to page 44. I just wanted to point out that in the packet, the foundation is letting you know they have many volunteer activities going on. And if you're interested in discovering how you can help the foundation help our libraries, please contact them at FVRLfoundation.org. Also, just a reminder that we have our annual Authors and Illustrators Dinner and Silent Auction on October 16th. We will be at the Hilton Vancouver again, and we will have best-selling author Robert Dugoni, best known for his Tracy Crosswhite Police series set in Seattle. The tables and tickets for this event start selling July 1st, and there's going to be a run on them. So line up July 1st at FVRLfoundation.org to buy your tables. Everybody getting a table this year? Okay. It's the foundation's biggest fundraiser of the year. It really helps the libraries to continue to enhance our programming and services throughout the district. So please help support them. That's all I have.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, next up is Ridgefield Community Library Report with Sean McGill.
Right here is good.
There?
Yep.
Perfect. I get to sit too.
We won't make you stand on the
And I think-
phone.
Are you clicking for
Yeah, I
yourself, Sean?
clicked.
Okay. There you go.
So let me say, trying to click.
The advance button to the right.
One.
No, to the side. Let me see. No. You can advance it for him.
Yeah. Welcome to the Ridgefield Community Library. I'm happy you're here and happy to share my report with you. In fact, over the years, I've come to realize that these reports are partially a time to boast. And so I'm going to do a little bit of that too. As I sketched out this report, I realized that the theme for this year is building. And when I say this, I don't mean a structure. Instead, I like one element of what I hate to say it, but Google's AI suggested, creating a space where individuals can thrive, grow, and contribute to something larger than themselves. Ridgefield Community Library does this, and we can go on to 3. Of course, you can't build without a skilled and well-trained staff. Ann Lohr in the Red Fleece is a part-time public service assistant. And after me, the longest serving staff member here in Ridgefield. She enjoys magazine processing, and I rely on her for good advice. Heather on the right in the top photo is a part-time public service assistant. She's smart and fast, provides great customer service, and she wants to grow in her responsibilities in the district. John in the middle is a full-time senior library assistant. He's highly creative with a magnetic personality, and though he creates programs for all ages, he watches out for children and families who need a little more to feel included. Tammy in the pink is a part-time senior library assistant, and to suggest that she's a storytime goddess really isn't that far from the mark. That's really her favorite part of the job. But she also seeks out ways to serve the homeschool community. And it's the catalyst for sensory storytime, which will start in the fall. Emmy in the top photo on the left is a branch supervisor. She's new to her position and new to the district and learning fast. She's smart. And already I feel like she's been part of the Ridgefield team forever, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. We can go on to the next slide. The Ridgefield Art Association leads Art Chat, which is a program that introduces attendees to a practicing artist or form of art. Teen Art Chat is unique to Ridgefield and is focused more on trying different forms of art, like drawing animals or objects in a direct, hands-on way. And we can go on to the next slide. I'm happy to say that the Southwest Washington Watercolor Society again presented their spring juried show in Ridgefield this year. I have a lot of photographs of the art of the various paintings, but I'm choosing to show you just one of my favorites. And we go on to the next slide. This photo is a shot of the library's Dungeons and Dragons program on a typical Tuesday. It's important to note the number of attendees, and you can't see them all, and that they come in consistently every week. In fact, a couple of them actually come in early to arrange the room, and they always leave it set up for the Fiber Arts program Wednesday morning. What's really important about this slide, though, are the two volunteer game masters who come weekly to facilitate gameplay. And in fact, one of those game masters, I'm happy to say, was actually a teenager in a D&D program that I started running when I first came here, and now he's volunteering, which is really nice to see. And we can go with the next slide. There's no building for the YMCA yet in Ridgefield, but the Y is a great partner to the library. A staff person from the Y leads a gentle exercise program for active seniors in this room on Thursday mornings, while the library partners during Healthy Kids Day. The Y's picnic in the park, when volunteers serve lunch, will take place Monday through Friday, starting June 23rd. And library staff will go to the park, bringing a table, a simple activity or craft for kids to complement lunch. And we can go next slide. And Jennifer stole my thunder about the
Yeah, but your
College
pictures are better.
fire rescue. What I can tell you, it was our second annual firefighter story time. We had 136, and not surprisingly, it was the biggest story time of the year. Kids apparently like firefighters. Go figure. And we go to the next one. The Ridgefield Cleaners chose to display their people's gingerbread structures at the library during hometown and into December. And they held their award ceremony here also. I have to admit, of course, my favorite gingerbread structure was the library. Might be a bit of bias there, but really I doubt it. And we can go to the next one. Great library isn't only built by the community, but also community. And Ridgefield does this with programs like window painting, which will take place later this summer. Let's face it, though, library staff are not anywhere near artists. Maybe some of us are, but not me. But our friends at the Ridgefield Art Association agreed to help with judging, and they chose every design last year as a winner. A patron told me last year also, when he was here for, I think, Spanish Conversation Circle, that this is what libraries should be doing. I agree. Next slide. This picture is of a tech petting zoo that had been put together by a kit that had been put together by Program Services. It's like a program in a box. And all we had to do was hold it. But if anything epitomizes building this program did, and I'm not talking about the physical structures in spite of the impressive tower, but rather I'm talking about building STEM skills, which are going to be critically important as we move further into the future here. Luckily, one thing you will not see is a photograph of a hypnosis machine, which two attendees built using cubelets. And if you don't know, a cublet is it's like a little square robot, and you can set them up so they do a number of different things. In this case, this one had spinners on the top and flashing lights, and it was making kind of a squeaking noise again and again and again. You go to the next slide. Our Build It program is no longer about just building with Legos. Instead, participants are making a slime, building marble mazes and tornadoes in a jar, and much more. Like in August, we'll be making working telescopes. And it's really, this program is about building skills and about building interest. Next slide. We offer an annual wreath making program in Ridgefield. And this is one program I especially like because it's multi-generational. And I've observed patrons helping other patrons and offering encouragement. It actually reminds me of, we hold Super Smash Brothers tournaments in this room also, monthly. And it's the same kind of thing. It's amazing to see kids who are no longer in the competition cheering on kids who are still competing. And next slide. I always think of this program as a stitchery, even though we're calling it a fiber art program now. It was here before I started at this library 13 years ago, and it's still going strong. And these ladies are talented and they willingly share. In fact, when my daughter was 7, they taught her how to crochet in about 10 seconds flat. And I don't think this is because she just was talented. I actually think they were really, really good teachers. And then for the next few weeks, the ladies would stop by the library to give me crochet hooks and yarn. I think I eventually went back home with a bag of yarn about this big and about 15 crochet hooks. And my daughter still crochets. And we can go to the next slide. You may wonder what a Mario Kart mini games program builds in participants. With those costumes, does it merely feed an obsession? No. Instead, during this program, it taught the very valuable skill of bowling for humans. This program required staff to come up with 6 or 7 different activities. And the nice thing about those activities, we can repeat them outside for things like Healthy Kids Day or Picnic at the Park. And next slide. I showed this slide at last year's board meeting as an announcement in teaser. And I can say now that this Friends event is taking place on July 11th of next month in tandem with Ridgefield Main Street Day. The Friends are going to hold storybook adventures. Each child who comes will receive a free book and enjoy fun activities at different stations with a cookie at the end. This is a huge project with dedicated volunteers, and I applaud the Friends for taking this on. And next slide. And I always think it's good to include shots of everyday activities that take place in the library as part of a board report. You know, whether it's a father reading to his daughter in a kayak. We only have the kayak here in May, though. The kids playing video games, and finally, or to a tutor who works with students. It's a photo of this tutor that'll bring us back full circle to that building theme. The tutor in this case also teaches at the Ridgefield Premier Academic Christian Preschool and brought all the students from that preschool down to the library, a first for the school, to be introduced to all the fine things here.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. And are there any questions?
I just want to point out Big Bird right outside the door here, which is really Big Bird is actually advertising for the Storybook Adventures. And is Oscar the Grouch still around the corner? as
Oscar
well?
the Grouch is still around the corner.
if he-
It tends to keep Oscar safer.
It keeps Oscar safer, but you know, it was funny. And Sean, why don't you tell the story of what you thought when Big Bird came in?
Oh, sure. When Big Bird came in here, uh, I was like, do any kids really even know, what or who Big Bird is anymore? And then about 2 minutes later, a dad and his son came in, and the son's like, Dad, Big Bird. And he runs up to it and gives it a big hug. And I'm sitting there going, I hope it doesn't fall over. But it didn't. It's surprisingly sturdy. And yeah, kids do know remember Big Bird and know him. And they're excited by Oscar the Grouch too. I've heard the business person is thinking about making several more of these, and she's promised them to us.
We need a second floor then, right?
No, we still have space here.
Oh, okay.
But if you're thinking about a second floor, it'd be okay.
Okay.
Nice presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Business Facilities and Finance Committee with Jennifer.
This is exciting.
So last Saturday evening, we had an unfortunate event at our Vancouver Community Library in the server room where one of our air conditioning units for the server room, the dehumidifier in it malfunctioned and started on fire.
Oh, God.
It was at a time when staff had called for facilities help because the air conditioning had stopped working and it got up to 110 degrees in the room. And this was shortly before closing, and then the library closed and the director of facilities arrived and was trying to get the air conditioning unit going. There's 2 units in the room, and the primary unit he was working on, and he turned around and he saw smoke coming from the secondary unit and ran out and pulled the fire alarm, and the fire department came quickly. So he was there at a really good time. It could have been so much worse. But what happened is both Sapphire suppression system, which is a chemical system for a server room, went off, as well as the water sprinkler system.
Oh,
And the water system is really what ended up damaging several things in the room, and that's laid out in this report. We also did not have internet or phones to the outside world for 3 days. But our IT staff worked all day Sunday and Monday and Tuesday and every day to really, in that case, try to figure out first, isolating what worked, what didn't work, how could we bring everything up as quickly as possible. So last Sunday, the Vancouver Library was closed for the day as we were still abating the smells of the smoke and chemicals from the building. And then on Monday, they did reopen, but as I said, nobody had internet or phones. And that's because the server room at the Vancouver Community Library is the server room for the entire district. And that is where all of our 16 facilities run through Vancouver to get out to the internet. So even if you're in Goldendale, you first come and ping at the Vancouver Community Library and then go out to the internet. And so that's why the whole system was down. We have several servers that had issues. Obviously, the air conditioning units in the server room have to be replaced. They are working on a song right now, and we just keep hoping that they will continue to operate until they can be replaced. We have contacted our insurance company immediately, and we have had our insurance assessors out looking at the situation. We had restoration company out that night after the fire department left. We've been working with the fire suppression and the fire vendors to get all of the systems, they're back online and in place. So all in all, the good news is, other than our facilities director and our custodian staff, no one else was in the building that night and nobody was injured. We're thankful for that. Because this was an emergency and the impact that it has across the entire district, we had to immediately go into our emergency purchasing to bring all of these contractors and vendors on board. So I called Katrina on Sunday and said, we're going into our emergency purchasing. And one of the requirements of that is that we present to you, the board, that we had to work outside of our purchasing policy to bring everything up. I do believe that by and large, a good majority of this will be covered by our insurance, which has a $5,000 deductible. We'll report on it as things go forward, but currently the estimated cost of all the repairs is $650,000. Any questions?
Were you able to keep most of the libraries running and communication going, or did you have to kind of fill in somehow?
So all of the libraries opened, first, I missed out. The Vancouver Mall Library was open Sunday with no access. The Vancouver Community Library was closed because we were still abating smoke in that facility. All libraries opened on Monday as planned, but they had no connection to the internet or phones. So they went back to the 1980s and talked to each other and have what we call offline circulation. And they did that on Monday and Tuesday across the district. And then by Wednesday, everybody was back up and functioning as usual.
What was the quote on that final number?
650,000.
Thank you.
No, that's a lot of money, but if the people who were there, if they weren't there and if they didn't respond so quickly, it could have been so much worse. That was really good work on their part.
Yeah.
So the AC units you said that need to be replaced, that's in this, right?
That is in the cost. There are 2 units and one is the one that was on fire. The other one was not, but also was malfunctioning, and it's
In here.
that's in there. And whether or not both will be covered is a question. We won't know that for a while.
Okay.
You know, they are the original, so they're 15 years old. So we'll see what happens, but we are awaiting quotes for all of this to really finalize costs. These are just early estimates.
Is this an unusual reaction, and breakdown, or is it common with these air conditioning units?
I can't answer that question. A lot of that's being looked into at this
Thank you.
point.
Any other questions?
So the bottom line, the 650,000 includes the 300,000
Yes,
approximate?
yes.
Did you have anything else? The Fort Vancouver Regional Library District Board of Trustees will now meet in executive session to discuss personnel as allowed by RCW 4230-110. The Board of Trustees will be in executive session for 20 minutes or until, 7:10 p.m. The Board of Trustees is not expected to take further action following the executive session. So for this one, we're going to leave. You're all welcome to stay here if you'd like, and we'll see you in 20 minutes.
Hey, Miranda, can you hear us online?
Yes. if you will please, leave the meeting, you will be called.
Okay, thanks. I was wondering. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Christy will call you.
All righty, thanks.
I have a comment. I want to congratulate Sean on being the best library manager in the district. The best library in all of FVRL. And I noticed in that organizational report that the visitor count over last year is up 66%. That's the highest increase in visitors in the whole district. So congratulations on that.
Comment about being the liaison for the foundation. And he's doing amazing things over there. Jennifer and I do a lot of meetings with them, and they did us for Washougal, praise fund for the Washougal Community Library Fund. It was very successful. The storytellers were wonderful, and there was a great showing from the community. So I thought that was very successful. They were very. Well, thank you for hosting us tonight. And the next regular Monday, July 21st at 10 at White Family Valley Library and also. Is there a motion to adjourn? Second? Hearing none,